So I showed you on the first tip of the day 2 weeks ago how to prep your t-shirts by applying that interfacing to the back of them to stabilize them because they are stretchy. And then now in this tip, I'm going to move to the next step, is where I'm cutting up the t-shirts. In this video, I'd like to show you my tips on how to prepare your t-shirts or pieces of clothing that you want to include in your memorabilia quilt, whether that's a t-shirt quilt or maybe you're using other pieces of clothing, something with emblems. And of course, the easy way is to cut all of your t-shirts the same size and just make a simple pieces with same size blocks. I, however, like to have my blocks kind of filled with the actual emblem, with the actual memory, instead of having a lot of just solid background space from certain t-shirts. So the first step I do is take all of the t-shirts and then I sort them into a similar width. So for example, this one could be trimmed down to probably a 12.5 would be the smallest this could be trimmed to, because I want to have at least a 1/4 inch when I sew. So I find all of the shirts that have a similar width, so this one has a similar width even though it's a lot shorter, but all of the ones that have a similar width, I kind of sort them into different piles. So this would be about 12-inch blocks, so cut to 12.5. I have another stack here that would be about 9-inch wide, and this just helped me when I start planning and designing the quilt. So best tools to use for doing this, for trimming up your blocks, are of course the Stripology rulers, either the squared or the XL ruler. So I like to take my squared ruler, if this is going to be 12.5 inches wide, I like to center my, use my center line on my ruler to center on this icon. Now when you're working with stretchy fabrics and you have pressed that interfacing to the back, sometimes the images get a little stretched. So this probably was supposed to be a straight line, and this is something that's printed on, so it's never going to be a fully straight line. As I can see here, as I line this up, it kind of slants a little bit down on each side, and as long as it's slanting evenly on both sides, I don't really care. So I just want to make sure that I am evenly spaced from both sides. And even though normally we want to have clearance to get your cutter into the slits, I don't really need to do that right now. I'm just going to go right into the slit, the 0, and cut as far as I can on both sides, and the 12.5, and then I just open this up and clear off here so I can pull this down and turn my piece. So now I can turn my piece and trim it the other way. Now, do you have to do 12.5? Absolutely not. It doesn't have to be a square. That's how I like to do things, because I like to really fill in the space. Now in this case, this is going to be a square because I only have that much clearance on each side. So now I'm just going to align the 0 line here up with the bottom edge that I just trimmed. I make sure I have a same clearance on each side, and I make my cuts. And here is my block ready to be sewn into the quilt. This step I try to wait to do until I'm really ready to start sewing the quilt. If you trim all your blocks and you set them aside for a few weeks or months or even years, it has happened, they might become a little disheveled and not so crispy and well trimmed. So I like to do this right before. So now the same thing I would do, apply to the other ones. This would be cut 12.5 inches this way, and then obviously shorter this way. I would sort them together, the same width blocks, sort them together until we get to the next phase, which is the really fun design phase.